Okay, this is the latest uh, translation of the subcontent of Blowin' in the Wind. Turns out that Blowin' in the Wind is a reworking of W.D. Griffith's Birth of a Nation, believe it or not. How many roads? A road is life. Dylan says, I'm walking a road many men have gone down, commenting on his folksing career. He's living a life that so many others have lived. Must a man go down? In this case, it's a black man. Walk down, trample upon. How many lives must a black man trample upon before you call him a man? Before you realize he can be nothing more than a male servant, a subordinate, a slave? How many seas must a white dove sail? How many seas must a woman or child colonialist or immigrant of white European descent cross before she sleeps in the sand, before she is raped by blacks, sleep to have sexual relations with, in this case, involuntarily after being thrown down in the dirt, sand, dirt? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs, how many times must the loose cannons, a person who behaves in a way that you cannot predict, often with serious or damaging results, fly off the handle to become suddenly enraged, before they're forever banned, before they're banned from interacting with whites, Jim Crow, segregation, slavery, apartheid? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is the Ku Klux Klan, who kept blacks, quote, in their place, unquote, by lynching them when these crackers believed they stepped out of line. This comes from Billie Holiday, the blowing in the wind shtick. Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from poplar trees. Get it? Bodies blowing in the wind after a lynching. That verse, you just can't take one line and say it means one thing and then another line. It's got to be a coherent thought in each verse, okay? How many years can a mountain exist? How many years can an indefinite quantity that is above average in size or magnitude, such as the North, the Yankees, the Union, continue to exist before it's washed to the sea, before the South will rise again and drown them Northerners, them Yankees, out of existence? Get it? Washed to the sea, South will rise again. What rises? Water. Yes, and how many years can some people exist? How many years can the people of the South continue to exist, pursuing their traditional customs before they're allowed to be free, before they're not controlled by another political power, before they're an independent, free state and a member of the Confederacy? Yes, and how many times can a man, back to the man metaphor, slave or former slave, turn his head, change the head of his government, and pretend he just doesn't see and not realize he's being played by white scallywags and carpetbaggers who took advantage of the Reconstruction to hold public office by getting the freed slaves to vote for them? The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is to have the KKK take vigilante action against these opportunists. Yes, and how many times must a man look up to search for or find, as in the Constitution, before he can see the sky, before he sees the highest law in the land, which deems blacks 3/5 human beings? Article 1, Section 2, slaves count as 3/5 persons. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed 3/5 of all other persons, that is, slaves, before he can really see the sky. He also writes before he can really see the sky. And how many ears, how much sympathetic attention the president wavers between the two positions, depending on last or at his ear, can one man have before he can hear people cry? Must one man, the number one man, Abe Lincoln, have before he hears the cries of the South? He also sings one person cry. Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? 618,000 men died in the Civil War, 330,000 from the North and 258,000 from the South. By far the greatest toll in any war in American history. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. If you watch Birth of a Nation, you'll see a black man about to rape a white girl. You'll see a freed slave killing a white farmer. You'll see a black person being lynched. You'll see the scallywags and carpetbaggers trying to stealing the blacks' votes. And you'll see Abe Lincoln, the great compromiser, who W.D. Griffith believes, assassination was very unhelpful, and Reconstruction could have gone on in a much orderly fashion if Lincoln had not been assassinated. Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? And you'll see Civil War scenes where there's great carnage on both sides. So that's the story. You can take it or leave it. You're going to leave it because it's a revolutionary idea, and people aren't used to it. They're accustomed to their own way of thinking. That Bob Dylan is a great civil rights advocate, when in reality the opposite is true. You'll ask, how come he married a black woman? Most of the stuff that he writes is not against black women, it's more against black men. So that's the story.